Emission System Test 10.
There you
And
go, Pen.
There you go.
everybody has what they're supposed to have to work our way through this, and we're talking about some alternative fuel stuff and whatnot here today. This is from Chapter 10 of Automotive Fuels and Emissions. Okay, I'm going to say, when an engine manufacturer designs a vehicle specifically for an alternative fuel, the engine emissions and performance of the vehicle is still optimized for gasoline. That is not true.
Why would it be true?
That is absolutely not true. I was talking to Lamont yesterday about the Nissan Leaf, and that they came out with. It's fully electric, and basically, if you've got the big heavy-duty charger you put at your house, it takes about 8 hours to charge it, and you get about 100 miles out of that. You get a heck of a lot less miles if it's really cold weather. The battery doesn't last as long. That's what he was telling me anyway. But
And what if the battery dies and it's out of warranty? How much you got to pay to replace it?
well, $18,000. I don't know. It's expensive.
Probably.
Yeah, really expensive. I don't know how much it costs. But depending on the federal, state, and local laws, fleet operators may be required to set a percentage of alternative fuel vehicles for their fleet. That is true.
What is a fleet in this sense?
A fleet is basically if you own a group of vehicles for a particular task, like a city. A city will own, like Ford Motor Company built some Rangers in the mid-90s that were fully electric. And they had a big old battery that was made under the bed, under the surface of the bed. That whole back was a battery. And there was a farmer that was on TV that had leased one of those things, and he said, "Man, I love this thing." He said it goes pretty strong. It'll run up to 70 miles an hour, and all that. But he says that when the lease ran out, he wanted to buy it, and they wouldn't sell it to him. They'd give it back to him, and he was wanting to keep it. He said, "I ain't had to buy no gas for 5 years driving around the farm in a old truck, But anyway, they were using that. They did that mostly for city. But I do know that the battery for those was $18,000 if you had to have one. But I don't guess they ever went to bed, or I didn't know about it.
That was in the 90s?
Yeah, long time ago. Electric. You could probably do a search, electric Ford Ranger. And because I was working at the Ford dealership in the 90s, and I remembered reading about those things. I never saw one, but I knew they used them in New York City and places like that where they just puttered around town. They'd have a bunch of them, and I guess they plugged them in all night, and they just went around town. They didn't have to buy any gas or nothing. And in the city, if you got something that don't make any kind of zero emissions and all, pretty good. But the truck was kind of expensive, so most of the time they were lease deals,
Did they kill whoever made it?
Huh?
Did they kill whoever made it?
Not really. I mean, it was all government, and all that kind of thing. But I mean, basically, none of those electric vehicles have really got all that much of a range. Even that Tesla, that really expensive Tesla car, the government is trying to subsidize them, and that thing costs like $110,000. And when it's fully charged, now that thing runs like a scalded dog. Electric motor has instant power as soon as you don't have to wait like a gas burner to get into its power curve. As soon as you apply juice to the electric motor, you're in your power curve.
Yeah.
And you take off one of those, you burn the wheel, slam off of it. I mean, it's amazing what it'll do. But it doesn't make any noise. And that guy that I was talking to about that Tesla that I saw out there in Las Vegas, or wherever it was when I went to the MAX convention, or it might have been Dallas. Anyway, he said that they were making them put something on the car to make noise so people would know it was coming.
Like a fake exhaust.
Because it's so quiet. It didn't make any noise. You just, you're going along here, and he said, it seems to me like if somebody don't have any more sense than to look both ways before they cross the road, they're going to get run over anyway. I mean, that was what the guy was saying, But he was a technician that was specially trained to go around the country fixing those cars, whenever. He said people crashed a lot of them, and they just, but it looked like a Lotus or something, real sexy looking car. I showed you that video of it.
I think I seen that thing on top.
225 miles, all you get out of it though. Like if you're gonna fire that thing up, well, try to head for Hattiesburg, Mississippi on it, dead as a hammer time you get there.
You got to take a break.
But anyway, compressed national.
Now if it has the backup tank, it'll be alright.
Well, now I will tell you this: that Chevy Volt is pretty cool. It's got a 3-gallon gas tank. It's got a 3-gallon gas tank, and it's got an engine. So if you go out with battery juice on that, you got 3 gallons worth of gas. The motor push you around. I mean, I think that's the smartest way to build one.
Yeah, but I think it's getting a good MPG for that 3 gallon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it basically, this is to bail you out if you
Yeah.
get in, if you get, you know, if you get in a problem. But when you hit the brakes on them, they're gonna charge a battery anyway.
How many
See what I'm
times you hit
saying?
the brakes for?
Huh?
Before we charge it for it?
Well, if you stop a lot, if you're in town and you're starting a stopping light, you'd be surprised how much stopping that car will cram into that battery and how fast it'll shove it in there. It's amazing. You can look at the little, as a matter of fact, on my phone here, I've got some video I took of that little screen in the middle of the dash on that Volt. I tell you what's kind of dumb. I went over and I said, I want to test drive one of these Volts. And so the salesman come out there, and I mean, I didn't push it because I wasn't going to buy the thing anyway. But he did not let, what I'm saying is I didn't push him to drive it. He didn't want to let me behind the wheel. He wanted to drive it while I rode with him.
Why?
I don't know. If I was going to buy the car, I would have probably said, well, I don't think I'm going to buy anything at this dealership.
Me
You know,
too.
if the guy won't let me test drive the car, you know. And but that was, I thought that's kind of silly. I think, you know, I mean, I don't know what kind of a salesman would say. You say, I want to test drive the car, and they put you in the passenger seat and they drive it.
Yeah.
You know, say, what's up with that?
You said that shit, I like
Yeah.
the feel.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't going to buy it. I was just curious, and I just went, and I really was taking a little video, you know, see what I could see there. Of course, the people that own those things, you know, they're used to that by now
They
anyway.
catch on fire and blow up.
Yeah, that's what they heard about. I think they got it all fixed. They got a liquid cooled battery there now, but
They got what?
the battery's liquid cooled and it runs down the tunnel of the car. It's a big old thing. Compressed natural gas storage cylinders must be removed from service 15 years from the date of original purpose. That's false.
I figured that was.
E85 is composed of 85% gasoline and 15% ethanol.
That's false.
What? That's backwards, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's backwards.
All right. 5. Ethanol is a renewable resource and is produced by fermenting biomass. Does anybody have any biomass around there anymore?
Everybody.
That's like, you know, grass and hay and, you know.
That's true,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Anything organic.
Now, do you know how much corn it takes? Do you know how much corn it takes to make corn alcohol?
No.
I mean, to fill up a SUV, like a big SUV, like if you get an excursion. The amount of corn you use to make that much fuel to fill up an SUV would feed a family for an entire year. That's how much corn it takes to make that much alcohol.
Fill it up one time?
Yeah.
Just one time?
Just one time. So is that pretty stupid or
Why
what?
does it take so much?
Well, it just takes a lot to make it alcohol. You know, you never made moonshine, have you?
No.
Okay. Takes a lot of corn. All right, but anyway,
What figure you had?
I ain't made no moonshine either, but I know people that have. Matter of fact, I got a funny story about that, and I always tell funny stories on here because the YouTube people like funny stories, I
Can we
think.
tell them all your moonshine?
My father-in-law used to train bloodhounds, right? He wasn't long out of the Army, and he would take my mother-in-law and he would put her in military fatigues. This was like Vietnam era stuff, you know, and he would, of course, he would go take his bloodhounds over and he would let them smell of her hat, and then she'd put her hat on and she would go hide. And then he'd open the door in the bloodhound. He trained them for the Florida law enforcement people, everybody. He was good at it. And he told me one day, he said, this business about these bloodhounds going, woo, woo, woo. He said, they don't do that. If a bloodhound's trained, he don't make a noise when he's tracking somebody. He's perfectly quiet. But anyway, he said, they got out there, and she got out, she was wearing fatigues. He got out of this, you know, station wagon he had, which was nearly a new car at the time. And they, you know, she went and hid, and he went and found her, and they brought her, put dogs back, and they left on her. So, and they were down here by this pond. And so he didn't think anything about it. He didn't see anything down at the pond and all that. But what he didn't know was there was a moonshine still down there. And what he also didn't know was whenever him and his wife got out wearing their military fatigues out of that new station wagon, the folks at the pond thought they was federal people come to bust them for their moonshine still, and they busted up their own still and poured out all their moonshine.
What?
And the way he found out about it was he was at the store the next day, and they said, man, that scared the crap out of us. Those guys got out there in them army clothes, and we just know they was coming after our moonshine still, so we poured out all our moonshine, we busted up our still, and we left. And he didn't ever say no word about it. He didn't say a word to them about how he was the one that scared them. That was funny as all get out. But there's a book and a verse of Proverbs that says, the guilty flee when nobody is chasing them. See what I'm saying? Nobody was chasing them, and they were running, you know. That is so funny. But, and that's a true story, I didn't make that up. Okay, electric vehicles did offer highly efficient accessories like heat pump and regenerative braking, improvements not found on most internal combustion engines. That's true. There's stuff you can do.
Skip number 6.
Act like it's something they offered back in the day, but they no longer offer now.
I know it, that's, well, this book right here is probably one of the older textbooks that I've got, and I need to actually update it, and I will probably next time I teach this. But it's still a good book. I mean, a lot of stuff that's in here is feasible. Number 6, the driving range of electric vehicles is usually a concern. That's right. The electric car made by General Motors in 1996, did you know how old that was? Could travel about 190 miles in the city and 230 miles on the highway. That just spanks the crud out of a Nissan Leaf, don't it? Because they get about 100 miles from what Lamont told me. All right. Number 9, you're at full throttle. Wait a minute. Number 8, engine power on a hybrid vehicle will only serve as power to help in acceleration in high load conditions, and that's typically the way that works. I will tell you that the Volt, the engine doesn't charge the battery. Okay? Like on the on the Ford Escapes and the Toyotas and all that, the engine charges the battery. On the Volt, from what I've been able to do my research, all the engine does is drive the car, you know, sometimes. I mean, it helps with moving the car, but it does not charge the battery. Number 10, vehicles of this, wait a minute, number 9. During full throttle or heavy load operation, additional electricity from the battery is sent to the motor to increase the output of the hybrid powertrain, and it does that. The vehicles of the future, number 9, that's true. And number 10, the vehicles of the future have a very good chance to be fuel cell powered, as they've got low fuel consumption, minimal or no pollutants. Since they use hydrogen, they reduce dependence on crude oil. That's sort of out up in the air now because it costs so much to build that stuff. General Motors made a fuel cell car that would produce enough electricity to power your doggone house. You know, and it actually converted out of water. You know, water is what it ran on.
I heard about that.
Yeah, and it was a real strange looking thing too, because it had big glass all the way around here, and you sit on this flat floorboard, and you're basically just driving it electrically and all that. It just felt strange. And from Jacques Gordon, my technical editor at Motor Age, drove that car, and you know there was videos on YouTube about it and all that. Number 11, the byproduct of natural gas processing and crude oil refining is what? Liquefied petroleum gas, LPG.
I don't know, what's number 2?
That's number 11.
What's number 2?
Propane or liquefied petroleum gas has advantages over gasoline. Which of the following is an advantage of this alternative fuel? B, clean burning characteristic. Have you noticed a lot of these people, I mean these forklifts that operate in warehouses and stuff, or these little motors on these floor polishers at Walmart will have a propane or butane tire fired because it doesn't, you know, you don't breathe the exhaust.
Yeah.
It just stinks.
Yeah, it's not too terribly bad, you know. I don't
Guess we'll get
know.
an
You can stand behind it for warmth.
Yeah.
That was number 11.
What's number 10 then?
Number 10 was true. All right. Number 13, OBD2 monitors will change on a flex fuel vehicle depending on whether gasoline or E85 is being used. Malfunction thresholds are actually based on C. That is the percent of alcohol in the fuel. And initially, those E85 vehicles had a fuel flow sensor. Did you know there's a lot of people out here that are driving around on flex fuel vehicles and don't even know it?
Yep.
Some of the vehicles that the college has are flex fuel. And look at the serial number, you'll figure it out. If you've got if you're going into your scan tool and it's giving you this serial number, you know it'll have flex fuel or whatever. And it's just really surprising that,
They didn't put
my
the
gosh,
symbol on the
this-
car or something?
huh?
They like forget to put the symbol on the car?
They just it's not apparent when you just drive the car. It looks like any other car. And some of them, like Ford, always pretty good about putting a picture of a highway with a leaf
Yeah.
for a little thing, but they don't all put anything on it, huh?
I got something to tell you when you get down. I got
All the
something.
Chevrolets have little flex fuels.
They do.
Just
Some of them
flex fuel and
do.
little things.
They do. Some of them do. But we got one vehicle here, and I can't remember if it's the Dodge Stratus or that Caravan that Jimmy Hutto drives. And it's a flex fuel. It has no badge anywhere on it. You can't tell it's flex fuel. There's another one there's a Suburban that belongs to a lady horse on the other campus, and that thing is flex fuel. And the only reason I found out it was flex fuel was because when I was under it, I saw the flex fuel sensor that the fuel line goes through. But it had no badging on it anywhere that said it was flex fuel. So just because it doesn't have the badge doesn't mean it's not flex fuel. On the other hand, some people, because it's cheaper, want to pump some of that E85 into their car, and then they get a great big surprise when it don't run worth a flip, you know.
You know how much boost the new Ford EcoBoost runs? The F-150,
How much?
sitting at idle, it runs 14.2 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And when you give it gas, it runs 32.
You talking about the boost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's a lot of freaking boost.
That's a stud, isn't it?
Yeah.
That little 3.5 V6, what are you talking about?
Yeah. It's a 3.5 F-150.
Now, Jimmy went up there to Atlanta, and back when that EcoBoost first came out.
Yeah.
And they got a Toyota pickup, and they got a 6-liter Chevrolet 2500 series,
Oh, you knew right.
and they got the EcoBoost Ford, and they put a 10,000-pound trailer behind each one of them, and they headed up the interstate. And so part of the testing that they did was they were going to punch the accelerator at 40 miles an hour and time how long it took them to get to 70. See, because you can't take off from a standing start pulling a 10,000-pound trailer without tearing something up usually,
Tear everything
if you
up.
get on it hard. Now, but they took off from 40 and they got to 70, and that 6-liter Chevrolet took 22 seconds to get to 70 miles an hour. The EcoBoost got there in 12. And it was 10 seconds sooner. And the Toyota, it just about wasn't worth a flip. I mean, it wouldn't hardly pull your hat off. And when you pull a heavy trailer with one of those, you got to retighten all the bolts on the frame, from what I've been hearing.
On the Toyota?
Yeah, on the Toyotas, yeah, they're kind of weak. You know, they're not. I mean, they're big truck wannabes. You know what I'm saying? They can't seem to.
They got the one you see them and they don't
Now,
work.
this one little thing, I got Gene talked about. He went and gave them some money at the Honda dealership to buy a Ridgeline. Honda Ridgeline, you know, our maintenance guy.
Yeah.
And so he went to get this Ridgeline. And Gene ain't no dummy. He didn't fall off a turning truck. You listen to him talk. He's got, you know, he talks about as much as I do, but he's sharp, you know. And he said he said the Ridgeline, they gave him $5,000, I think. And he said this Ridgeline came in. They said your truck is in, but we got some cosmetic stuff we got to take care of, and then we'll deliver it to you next week. And so he says, that's interesting. I wonder what cosmetic stuff they got. And he went up there and he saw a Ridgeline sitting up there. It was on a Sunday afternoon. He went up there and just kind of pulled in around them. And he saw this Ridgeline sitting there that looked like it had fell off the truck and just caved the back end all the way up to the wheels and all that. And so just for the sake of argument, he went over there and he got the serial number off that truck. And then he left. And he called them the next day and says, hey, I've got to get my insurance on this truck, you know, get started. So do you have the serial number? And the serial number of that truck was the one that he saw that was. And so he went and got his $5,000 back, and he went and bought that Nissan he's driving. Which I actually tricked him into thinking that Nissan was a rebuilt salvage vehicle, and he just had a stroke about that. But it was a joke, you know. I just built this little rebuilt salvage sticker and stuck it in there where the gas tank was and showed it to him, and he goes, "Oh no!"
You did that?
Yeah, I stuck it in there, made him think it was rebuilt salvage, just burned him up. He thought he's gonna go choke somebody at Enterprise. I wouldn't let him. I said, "Gene, stop! You know, calm down." He was all red faced, and I said, "This is a joke. They did not jerk you around. I put this sticker on your truck, okay?" You know? I was just scared to death that he was going to go shoot somebody or something. Well, I was jerking him around because he jerked somebody else around, and she says, "Hey, how can I jerk him around?" I said, "I'll come up with something to get him."
How did you take it? Well, you told
Oh
me that.
man, I says, well, what happened was we were going to put a fuel tank sending unit in the truck because it was still relatively new. It wasn't this truck; it was one he had before this one,
Yeah.
and so. While we were putting the gas back in it, that sticker had been under there for a couple of weeks. I kind of opened the gas lid and I stuck it up above where you put gas in it so he wouldn't notice it, you see. And I figured I'd figure out a way to show it to him somehow later. And this was perfect because we're putting the gas back in it. And I says, you know, when they got a rebuilt salvage truck, they got to put a sticker on it somewhere, but they don't have to put it where you can see it if they don't want you to know it. And I said, do you think this might be a rebuilt salvage truck? And he goes, well, I don't know. I know they had to go down to Tallahassee to get it. And I says, well, wait a minute. What is this I see under here? You know, Gene's got some glasses here. Get this thing off the lift. I'm going to Enterprise. Oh, he was hot. And that's when I had to shout. I was not going to let him go over and make a fool out of himself, you know. He would have, you know. But I was scared. I was afraid where that would wind up. But anyway. Anyway, now, he don't typically use foul language, but when I mention that, he'll usually drop the S word. You know, but anyway. Well, I don't typically play all that many jokes on people anymore, you know. But no, number A major disadvantage of the electric vehicle in regard to the automotive technician is what? That's number 14, yeah.
Really?
The danger associated with high voltage.
Oh, you knew that?
Fuel cell technology that utilizes a process called electrolysis to produce hydrogen uses which of the following materials?
Water.
Water.
Well, you did this?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we've actually built those things, but like I say, what it makes, these funky little things you build with a fruit jar and some plates and electricity and a baking soda water, it makes HHO gas. And, I mean, some other people might have had good luck with those, but I built one of those things, put it on my Jeep, and my gas mileage went from 21 down to 17. When I was driving it with that thing on there. And I said, I'm not gonna waste my time on
Why?
that.
Why think?
I don't have a clue, but I do know that when I had that thing bubbling and it was pulling that HHO gas into the intake, and it was producing HHO gas, I mean, I was meticulously watching my gas mileage. I was driving the same way I always drove, and my mileage went from 21 down to 17. Now, other people swear up and down they got 35 miles to the gallon out of a Chevy pickup using that stuff.
You gotta disable the emissions.
Yeah, I don't know.
Disable the emissions.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know, man, if it sees all extra oxygen and hydrogen or something, it might think it's running.
Well, people talk about the oxygen sensors doing this and all that.
It might think it's running leaner,
Yeah, but that
and then it
means,
starts pumping more gas into it.
well,
Or something. But I mean, if you took your oxygen sensors offline, you know, and all, but at that particular point, you're actually changing things that you're not supposed to change according to the EPA, so that's really not a good idea either. Number 16, because the supply of OEM, what does OEM stand for?
original.
Equipment, marketing, I guess, you know, vehicle is limited. Some fleet operators may choose to use
Hybrid.
what? Converted vehicles as a way to meet vehicle acquisition requirements. Of the alternative fuels, natural gas, fuel vehicles were designed to run on M85, and all domestic manufacturers now make vehicles run.
What's this one? M85?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that's, if you're gonna see,
That thing,
you're gonna see a lot of the time, well, it's a CNG, you're gonna see, in your shop manual where you're looking up, like these Crown Victorias, they have CNG, you know, on there.
ask him the time.
Huh?
Ask him the time.
18, although initially, flex fuel vehicles were designed to run on M85, all domestic manufacturers now make these vehicles run on E85.
What's
Oh, I'm
M85?
sorry, I messed up on 17, I read that question totally wrong, excuse me. Of the alternative fuels, natural gas is composed mainly of methane, has an octane rating of between 105 and 130. Okay, so, all right, there you go. And number 19, the California Air Resources Board established emission standards for 5 vehicle types. The electric vehicle meets zero emission vehicle standard, that's the EV. Now you know what that stands for. The electric car introduced to the market by General Motors in '96 was called the EV1.
So what?
EV1, electric vehicle introduced to the market by General Motors in 1996 was called the EV1. The one they call it today is the Volt. They usually have one that people can test drive and another one that they're going to sell, but they usually keep 2 on the lot at one time if it's a very big dealership.
What was that, say?
19 was zero emission vehicle. They have those that you hear about every now. You get those emails flying around about these cars that run on compressed air. Have you seen anything about that? They got a big old funky looking engine that runs on nothing but compressed air.
Sounds like hogwash.
Yeah, but they got really good pictures on that email. So, all right. So number 21, regenerative braking means that braking energy is turned back into electricity instead of heat. And number 22, an electric vehicle with an added onboard power generator that's assisted by internal combustion engine is called a hybrid. And number 23, if the combustion engine is capable of turning the drive wheel as well as the generator, the vehicle is referred to as a parallel hybrid. Yeah, parallel hybrid. Yeah. And number 24, in the series hybrid vehicle, there's no mechanical connection between the engine and the wheels. Isn't that interesting? Okay. That concludes emissions test 10.
I hate
All right.
this.